Hello everyone. Let's head on to our first case. Case 1. Am I the bad person for telling my wife that I'm ending our marriage because I found her brother at our house, again, and said it in front of him? I, M38, left my wife, Kelly F38, today. 5 years together. 4 married. I have battled her lack of boundaries about her family for the past 2 years. I understand that they are very close-knit, but she never paid attention to how their dynamics affected our relationship. I experienced every just no family situation. My food was eaten, showing up uninvited, meddling, you name it. 9 months ago, MIL and FIL began divorce proceedings. He cheated, fell madly in love with a side chick with whom he's lived for the past 15 years, and he decided that he wants to get remarried. He kicked everyone out of the house. It was an emergency, so I agreed to help out. I so fucking regret it. I had to take 4 people in, but they couldn't think to avoid constantly pissing me off. I got sick of finding them using our private bathroom. They had complete access to the other full bathroom by the hallway. SIL started taking naps on our bed, which is creepy because a bed is too personal. I came home late and we had to wake her up and still waited for her to snap out of her groggy state so that she could walk out. It lasted for 3 months, but the problems persisted. No matter how many times I told my wife and even told them, they still showed up at random hours. Even if I didn't run into them, I know she was allowing them to come over. I hated their presence. They would eat my snacks and get on my expensive recliner chair, which again, they didn't contribute a penny for. I had a mini orchard that they picked empty. Things got so tense that I blew at her in front of them. They left, we had a fight, and I ended up sleeping in a hotel. I warned her many times about being fed up and needing her to support me. She acted like I was demanding that she abandoned her family. Today, I came home to find her brother's car blocking the entrance. Not on the side and not even on the driveway, just right in the middle where my only option would be to get on the lawn. I go inside and he's laying with his shoes on the couch. He gave me this fresh smile like he's untouchable. I went to our bedroom and packed as much of my belongings as possible and ignored her pleas to talk. There's nothing else to talk about. I already called a few lawyers but haven't received any replies yet. She cried, but at this point, I have no empathy. I don't even know if I overreacted or if I needed to discuss this in private. I feel defeated and angry, and I also hate her family with my soul. They knew they were hurting our relationship and they didn't care. She knew that I'm a private person who hates being invaded. I helped them because I love her and I didn't have the balls to let them go to sleep in their car. We don't have kids, but there are so many things that will be left undone. I loved her so much, but I just can't do this. She called me immediately after I left and I told her that my decision is final. She sounded shaken, but I told her that right now, I despise her and will never be able to sleep next to her again. What do you guys think? Lay down your ruling in the comments section and let's move on to our next story. Case 2. Am I the bad person for not giving my ex's wife more time with my kids and not including her in IEP discussions? I, 34F, have 3 children, 11, 10, and 8, with my ex-husband, 36M. We are on civilish terms. The marriage ending wasn't dramatic and no cheating was involved. But he became a workaholic to the extreme. I'm talking staying at the office all night and staying until late and then coming home to keep working. He also skipped social events or time as a family to get more work done. He wasn't like that when we met or first got married either. It happened over a few years of our marriage. He skipped his own mother's 60th birthday party to finish a project for work. When I returned home, he was on the floor of his office organizing a bunch of paperwork. He also used to disappear inside and go do work when our kids had birthday parties, or he'd sit on the phone the whole time ignoring everyone while he made work calls. For me, the final straw was when he bailed on plans for our anniversary without telling me to sit in the home office sending emails so he could lock down a project he wanted, which was going to make him even busier. He was unwilling to find a better balance. He wasn't a partner or much of a dad though. He'd maybe take a few hours some weekends to spend with the kids, but not with me. He told me he didn't see that changing either. But he was willing to stay married and have more kids if I wanted to. But he was very clear it would never be like it was. That was hard, but it could have been worse. When we divorced and figured out custody, he was upfront about the way things would be. Originally, a judge gave him 50-50, but his parents or one of his siblings had them for the majority of the time. During the week, the kids didn't even see him. He'd just sleep at the office or sneak in and out in the middle of the night. So a judge gave him every other weekend, and after a year he asked for it to be reduced to 1 weekend a month. To his credit, that 1 weekend a month he does actually dedicate time and effort to them. It's not enough for what I wanted for my kids from their dad. And I hate that they're so used to it and that it's accepted by them that they have a once-a-month dad. But at least he was honest about it instead of having them there for 2 weekends and ignoring them one of those weekends. My ex married again a year and a half ago. I don't know much about his wife, but she was not expecting things to remain the same regarding custody. A month after they got married, she called and asked me why the kids weren't at their house for the week. I told her to speak to her husband about the schedule because that had not changed, and I ended the call. She called another time and told me she wanted to take the kids for a weekend and have some time with just her and them. I told her that wasn't happening and ended that call. She told the kids she wanted to see them more, and they told me what she said, but they stated they didn't want to see her more. That they were happy with the way things were. When my ex's wife was pregnant, she wanted the kids to come to Scans and go shopping for baby stuff with her. They weren't interested at all. My ex wasn't involved in that, and when I spoke to him, he told me he'd tell her to stop. She stopped asking me for that, but started asking them instead. They rarely interacted with her at the house because my ex would focus on his time with them, and she wasn't included in that. But when they were in his house and not actively spending time with their dad, his wife used that time to try and spend with them and make her requests. Now her baby is here and she's very demanding. She wants to see the kids more, and she told me I should be willing to accommodate this because the kids need to be around the rest of their family more, which my kids do not want, and we have talked about it when they come to me about the stuff she requests. Her other argument is over my youngest's IEP. The meetings for those only include the legal parents, be it biological or adoptive parent, or a legal guardian. She is none of those things, so she can't be in the meetings. So she is insisting I find a way to include her or sign off on her being present for them, which I could legally do if I wanted. She told me she should be a part of discussing with me at least. I told her there is zero reason for this, and I told her to stop contacting me. I also mentioned it to my ex, but he was too busy to care. My lawyer knows and has documented everything in case we need it for a future court appearance. We don't have enough now. She is growing more angry and has accused me of treating her as less than when all she wanted was to be a loving parent to my kids and be a part of helping them. She said she's the mother to their sibling and nobody seems to care about that. I ignored these messages and shared them with my lawyer. But I wanted to check with others. I feel like I'm doing the right thing, but I understand I might be too close to the situation to be unbiased. Am I the bad person? What do you guys think of this one? Let us know in the comments section, and let's move on to our next story. Case 3. Am I the bad person for not accepting a dozen roses from my husband after my surgery? I had to have a lumpectomy on one of my breasts due to cancer. My husband took me to the hospital for the procedure and left to go run errands. I had never had this procedure done before, and finding out I had cancer was a scary thing. He said he'd be right back while they were prepping me for surgery. Once I was ready and waiting to go into surgery, the nurse asked if I wanted my husband to come sit with me until it was time to go in. I said yes, but she came back and said she couldn't find him. I sat in the room by myself for an hour, and he still didn't show. I went into surgery without any reassurance from him, no kiss on the cheek with an "I love you" or "everything will be okay." It was such a lonely feeling, and I was wishing that I had brought my mom with me instead. The procedure was done within an hour, and I was in the recovery room. Once my anesthesia wore off, I was awake and realized my husband still had not returned. At this point, I was really getting worried. The nurse said he wasn't answering his phone, and she seemed irritated that he wasn't there. The nurse went on to give me post-surgery directions, which I was only half listening to because I was still kind of out of it, plus with my increasing worry of where the hell my husband was. The nurse comes in after a half hour and says, "Sweetie, we are still trying to call him, but if he doesn't get here soon, you won't be able to leave. There is a big storm coming in, and this wing will be on lockdown until the storm passes." I could feel the tears welling up in my eyes. I just wanted to go home. 10 more minutes go by and he waltzes in with a dozen roses, like he was the most thoughtful husband ever. When I asked where he was, he told me he was at the bar because he was hungry for one of their delicious burgers. I told him that I had been waiting alone throughout the whole ordeal and that he should have been there for me. He said he was sorry and held out the roses. I told him he could take the roses and shove it, and that I was never having him come with me during a medical procedure ever again, because he sucked. I was getting part of my breast removed while he had a tasty burger and a beer. You've sat down, you've listened. Now, it's time to state your ruling. What is it gonna be? Let us have it down in the comments section down below. Thank you for watching. Please like this video if you enjoyed it and subscribe for more cases like these. In life, we may run, but we can never hide from true justice. Stay safe, everyone.